Excellent. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Daigle. I'm the co-director of the Autism Alliance, joined today with my colleague Pam McKillop, the co-director, and Katie Cassavant, our autism specialist, and Penny Anderson, our outreach specialist. I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening. The Autism Alliance welcomes our Summer Parent Series guest speaker, Kayleen Harvey. Hey, Kayleen.
Hi.
Kayleen is a certified speech pathologist. She has a bachelor's degree in French linguistics and received her master's in speech and language pathology from SUNY Plattsburgh. She is the clinical director of Boston Speech and OT Specialists. Kayleen is passionate and enthusiastic about play therapy and getting to know each individual child and family. Outside of work with children, Kayleen loves fostering animals and singing. Tonight's first session is creating your child's unique profile, functional developmental level. Throughout this three-part series, we will discuss how to create an accurate profile for your child to understand where they are currently functioning and how to best meet them there. This session will focus on functional developmental levels. This is a measure of skills we use to assess progress in play project. Learn where your child falls across these 6 levels and how to help them grow by playing at just the right level. For parents who attend all 3 sessions, we have one tonight. One is Tuesday, July 25th, and one is August 29th. You will qualify for a raffle to receive a scholarship for 2 free private additional sessions, including specific support for your child. So please type your full name in the chat, and we will record that so that we'll know that you attended this evening. This program is scheduled from right now until 7:30-ish. And with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this evening, and we hope to continue to see you all throughout the summer. And now I will turn it over to the wonderful Kayleen.
Thank you, Allison. You're such a nice introduction. I think if I'm host, then I will go ahead and share my screen so that everyone can see my slides and my 100 tabs that I have open. But hopefully just my slides. So yeah, tonight is the first speaking event of a 3-part series this summer that we're doing with Boston SOS in conjunction with Autism Alliance. And we are focusing on the child as a whole in play-based therapy and how to create a complete profile so that you can meet your child exactly where they're at. This is great for parents to understand where your child falls along the spectrum, how to play at just the right level, not too high, not too low. And also for other professionals, this is really helpful. So whatever you may be, I'm glad you're here. So let's get into it. I'll start with a little bit of an introduction about me. I'm Kayleen. I have my master's in speech language pathology. I am licensed nationally through ASHA, and I hold state licensures in Massachusetts and Florida. I am a certified play project consultant, and that's the method of treatment we're going to be talking about across this speaking series. I am the clinical director of Boston Speech and OT Specialists. I am giving you my email right there if you have any questions or ever want to reach out. And that is our Instagram as well, where we post a lot of the fun stuff that we're up to over at Boston Speech and OT. I have a very cute cat and a very cute dog. And I spent my first year as an SLP living abroad in St. Kitts and Nevis in the West Indies as the speech language pathologist for the non-for-profit St. Kitts Spectrum Services Center, providing play therapy to kids there in the Caribbean. So, and then I spent a year in sunny Florida, and now I'm up here in sunny Boston, continuing to play and spread the word of play therapy. So the method we're talking about today is Play Project. Play Project is a developmental and play-based approach to treating children who are on the autism spectrum. So what do I mean by developmental? If you're a parent, you've heard all these things about developmental norms, milestones my kids are supposed to meet, and when. So developmental means we just follow that trajectory. We go in order of skill acquisition. We don't go by necessarily the child's age. Like if a 5-year-old comes into me and I say, well, 5-year-olds are supposed to be doing this, this, and this, so I'm going to target this, this, and this. We don't do that. We don't go by the child's age. We look at the child as a whole. We look at where they fall developmentally, and we target skills exactly where they're at. So we're building foundationally and we're building upward. It's kind of a bottom-up approach. And what do I mean by play-based? Play-based therapy means that we have fun. My therapy is totally child-led. I don't come in with this whole plan of today we're going to do this, this, and this. I kind of set the kid into the space and let them lead the session, let them go to whatever they're drawn to and interested in. And we use that natural play and motivation to learn language and social skills and all these amazing skills you're going to hear about today. And this is what a developmental approach looks like. If we didn't do a developmental approach, if a 5-year-old came in and I said, great, let's target these skills, and I put a roof on before developing a solid foundation, we're going to have a really shaky house. They might develop those skills. They might be able to do those things, but we're not going to have that robust communication system behind it and all the understanding and skills that come before. Whereas if we start from the bottom and we build that really strong foundation and we develop those relationships and skills like attention and engagement and initiation in kids, and then we build up to, single words and put phrases and conversations, we're going to have a solid house. It's not going to be shaky. It's going to have a strong foundation, and our children are going to have a more robust communication system later on. So today's talk is about functional developmental levels. Within the Play Project, this is the measure we use to assess each child's current levels of functioning and present skills. So each child's functional developmental level is determined through caregiver reports and clinician observation. I'm hoping what you're going to see today is that Play Project is a really collaborative approach. We really involve caregivers in our sessions. I want parents there, aunts, uncles, babysitters, nannies, whoever plays a big role in the child's life, to be there, to be learning, to be giving input, because yes, I'm the professional who's trained in this approach, but with no matter how many degrees I get, will never know your child the way you know your child. And so by you being there and telling me what you're seeing, we can work together to determine what's going to work best for them. So it's a checklist. I go through and ask questions. We observe for skills. I ask, are you seeing them doing this at home? Are you seeing them doing this at school, in public? How are transitions for them? And we rate each skill on a graded scale between 0 and 4. They do it none of the time, all the way up to they do it 100% of the time. No misses, to half, most, some of the time. And that's how we determine percentages at each level. So the functional developmental levels are skills that children develop as they mature, and there are milestones that we expect them to meet. And as we know, children on the autism spectrum may develop these skills in a different order, at a delayed pace, or not at all. So by measuring where they're currently at, we can keep track of their current skills and then monitor progress throughout therapy. We take baseline FDL at the beginning. 3 months later, we come back and say, hey, where have they made progress? Can we start working on skills up at a higher level? Are they mastering these early skills, and where can we go from here? The FDLs addressed in Play Project are actually derived from Stanley Greenspan's work. You may have heard of the creator of DIR Floor Time, and his work includes 9 functional emotional developmental levels. Play Project is derived from that, and we address the first 6. It's kind of an earlier intervention approach to that. And these first 6 FDLs typically emerge in children between 0 to 48 months of age. If you have a child outside that age range, I don't want you to worry, because again, it's not really about the age. These are the neurotypical developmental norms, but it's about where your child falls on these levels and where they're functioning. So let's get into it. What are the 6 FDLs we're going to be talking about? So FDL 1 are basic skills. We are starting with self-regulation and shared attention. These are skills we expect to be developing in children between 0 to 3 months of age. Moving on to level 2, we want to see them with engagement and relating to others. We start seeing between 2 to 7 months. Level 3, we want to start seeing intentionality, two-way communication, particularly with gestures, and that's going to develop between 3 to 10 months of age. Level 4, we'll start to see some social problem solving, some mood regulation, some first words maybe, and that's between 9 to 18 months of age. Then we'll go on to children who are creating symbols, using words and ideas between 24 to 30 months. And then lastly, what we cover is level 6, emotional thinking, logic, and a sense of reality. And these are skills we see developing between 36 to 48 months of age. So I'm going to kind of go through each individual level one by one, explain what the skills are that we're looking for, And I also have some video examples of me doing therapy with children at each level. And hopefully by the end, you'll have some ideas. You see the therapy as you hear about the skills within each level. Oh, that kind of sounds like my kid, or that's what my kid is doing, and start to maybe understand where they're functioning. So let's start with level 1. And this is self-regulation and shared attention. This level is characterized by your child's ability to enter and sustain a state of shared attention with another person while remaining calm and focused. This is the absolute base of Play Project. This is the absolute base of developmental therapy. We want kids regulated, feeling good in their bodies. This, if you have an OT in your life, this is probably their bread and butter. We want the kids feeling good in their body. We can't learn when we're hungry, we have a headache, we have to go to the bathroom really bad. We want them meeting their sensory needs. And if you come to speaking session 2, that's all about this regulation and sensory needs and how to help your child regulate. But that's step 1, regulating them and then getting them to share attention. So we want them to remain calm and regulated enough that they can share attention with others. We want them to start sustaining brief episodes of interaction, and we want the child to generally be with us, to be interested in us, to be shifting attention to us. And children at this level can easily have their regulation derailed by something called comfort zone activities. And that's actually going to be the topic of session 3. So I'm really just teasing all the future sessions here for you. Got to keep you coming back. And when we are playing with level 1 kids, here's what we want to be asking ourselves. How is my positioning? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I tell parents to ask. I can't be standing up over a little child and playing with them. I have to be, if I want them to attend to me, to be looking at me, shifting to me, sharing with me, I have to be at their level. I'm going to get down on the ground. I wear, yoga pants, leggings a lot. You got to wear comfy clothes and be ready to sweat and play therapy. We're getting down on the ground. We're following them where they go. I have to stay physically with the child on the floor, facing them, following their play around the room. Wherever they go, I'm going to be physically near them. Am I paying attention to their attention? And this is kind of one of the hard ones for parents, is letting go of our agenda. We have all these skills we want to teach our kids, right? What color is this? Show mom the letter A. Look, she can do this. He can do this. And we kind of want to throw that out the window and see, what are they focusing on? What is my child paying attention to? What are they interested in and what's motivating to them? It might require me to sit back and just watch for a little while. So I can best understand. And when I can follow their attention and I see what they're drawn to, I can better understand their intention. What do they want to do with that? What's their idea? How can I help them do that? And that goes into, can I interpret their subtle cues to understand what they want, especially with our kids that aren't talking yet or gesturing yet? They still have wants and needs that need to be met. And we have to look for those subtle cues. Are they making a facial expression? Are they looking at something? Are they reaching for something? Can I make a smart guess by knowing this child, what they want, and then meet their need? And I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to guess wrong. And they'll hopefully let me know some way or other. And level 1 is a lot of smart guessing and learning to read the child. When they show their intention, when they make an intention, am I responding in a supportive way? Am I acknowledging even micro means of communication, facial expressions? I want to acknowledge every bit of communication. It's not you have to say a word to get this. It's I'm acknowledging your facial expressions, your gestures, your body posture, all of that. Can I accept them where they are right now? Is that okay with me? Truly, is that okay with me that they're not talking yet? As a speech therapist, that's hard. Of course we want them to talk. Of course you want them to talk, but accepting them right where they are right now and building off the skills they already have to get where we want them to go is how we're going to do it. Whose play idea is it? Is it mine or theirs? Am I coming in saying, play with this? Wow, look at this. Or am I kind of letting them lead the way, letting them find things that are motivating and interesting to them? Am I using rabbit hole techniques? Another teaser for session 3 when we talk about comfort zones, which are activities that children may have their regulation derailed by or may tune us out to engage in. We kind of have to go down that rabbit hole and join them there. And I will teach you about those rabbit hole techniques in session 3. And can I define circles of communication? A big thing in Play Project we're looking for are circles of communication. And what that is the back and forth. That's a serve and return. I say hi, you say hi back to me. I ask, how are you? You say, I'm good. We've just had circles. And circles with every kid's going to look different. It might be hi and saying hi back. It might be they point to something and I look. It might be they smile at me and I smile back. Every circle, every interaction, every back and forth we have, we're going to try to count. And as we move through the levels, we're going to try to get more of those back and forth interactions. And the last thing, we're going to ask this at level 1. We're going to ask this at level 2. We're going to ask this every single day. Are we having fun? I want every single person in my session having fun. I want the kid having fun. I want the parents having fun. I want to be having fun. It should be a joyful interaction. We're going for, let's make sure it says connection over compliance. It's not going to start with following directions and doing what I say. It's going to be, we're building a relationship. We're getting to know each other. We're learning each other's cues and attention. And that's, I love the kids who are right here in level 1 and 2. And we can really get into them and be those first people to connect with them and acknowledge their type of communication and meet them where they are. So this is a really fun level. So I'm going to show you a video of some of the therapy I did playing with a kid who was at level 1 at the time. And you're going to see he's not using words yet. I'm working really hard to get his attention. He's going to shift away from the activity and we're just going to go with it. Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, you want Dad. If that's where he wants to be, that's where he wants to be. He can be up. Yeah. Oh. Oh. I love that aspect. So even though this little kiddo isn't using words, he is initiating. See how he's sharing attention with mom and dad? And I'm not saying, no, come back to me. No, engage in this ball activity with me. He went to dad. We're going to model the language for that. Dad, pick me up. Mom, pick me up. We're going to imitate noises. We're going to have joyful interactions, and we're going to help him regulate when he can't self-regulate yet. He likes a lot of input, vestibular, being picked up and down, dropped. So we're going to help him regulate and meet those needs at this level. Any questions about anything in level 1 yet? If you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I will try to see them as I go. And if not, if you're brave, feel free to unmute and just interrupt me at any time. I'm totally flexible with being interrupted. And if not, I'll just move on to FDL2, which is engaging and relating to other people. So at this level, this child is starting to form relationships, engage with people with warmth and pleasure. They're starting to create that intrinsic motivation to communicate, and they're going to bond and relate to you. We want to see at this level the child showing curiosity, assertive interest in others. We want them to willingly stay engaged with peers or adults for longer periods of time. I kind of call this the level where we're creating a little monster. I want the child to not want to leave you alone, to be so connected and interested in engaging with people that they just want to be with you and engage with you. That's why this is also colloquially known in our community as the sweat level. And this is where you're going to bring out your sweatbands and your water bottles, because as play partners with these kids, we are going to work up a sweat. We are engaging in high energy sensory motor play to keep the kids at this level engaged. A lot of these are our sensory seekers. They want to be thrown up in the air and crushed on a crash pad and pushed on a swing. And that feels good in their body. And we can help them with that and meet them there. So what I ask parents, caregivers, play partners at this level is, am I playing at the right level? If I'm playing too high, if I'm asking the child WH questions, or I'm making them say words to get things, they're going to tune me out. That's too hard. I'm leaving. If I'm playing too low, if I'm just kind of sitting next to them, parallel playing, they might not engage with me. I'm not meeting them where they're at. So making sure we're right at the right level. Am I engaging my child by following their lead? Are we seeing a theme here? It is very child-led. Am I throwing my agenda out the window and watching this child and paying attention to what they want to do? Am I being enthusiastic, animated, silly, and fun? I have to be those things to get their attention. I'm going to use a high affect. I'm going to make big, silly facial expressions. I'm going to move my body around. I'm going to be interesting and engaging and something they want to look at and play with. Voice, gestures, actions, all that to maintain engagement. Am I using the correct sensory modality to engage the child? So session 2, come back. We're going to talk about sensory motor profiles, the type of sensory input that your child might be seeking out or avoiding. At this level, we want to start to see 3 to 4 circles of communication. We want to have these little back and forth, these little volleys of gestures, facial expressions. And how long can I keep the engagement going? Am I sweating? Am I working for this to keep this kid engaged with me? And the last question we're going to ask at every level is, are we having fun? Did this child leave the session, leave this playtime saying, that rocked, mom's so fun, Miss Kayleen's so fun, dad's so fun, babysitter's awesome, I want to hang out with that person? Hopefully. And here's a video of me playing with a child at level 2. This child, we are using an augmentative alternative communication device. She was a little older, not using words yet. And again, even when we're using these devices, it's the same as verbal speech. I am not requiring language. I am simply going to model it. I'm going to narrate what's happening. I'm going to do the same thing with the buttons as I would do with my voice. And you're going to see this is a high energy kiddo. We were sweating in these sessions.
She's looking at me now. Something, doesn't it? Yeah. Tell Daddy what to do. Tell Daddy up. Up. Down. Yay! You want to try touching it? You can touch it.
And we are starting to see initiation. We're not saying you have to press this button for me to do it. We're saying, look, this is the language. When I press this button, ball down, and she's coming over and initiating, looking mom right in her face and bringing the ball and handing it to dad. We're seeing initiation. We're seeing circles. And we're seeing a lot of sensory play. We did a lot of ball throwing, a lot of seesawing, a lot of jumping around. And it was the Caribbean, so it was super hot. Any questions about level 2? I can't even, let me see where the chat is. I don't even know where the chat is. Moving on then to level 3. Level 3 is where we're going to start to see, I'm going to start speeding up so we have time for questions. Some intentionality and two-way communication. So look, we're all the way halfway through at level 3, and this is where we're starting to see actual communication. And this, I'm only looking for gestures at this level 2. So all those skills, that attention, that regulation, that engagement comes before any language targeting that I'm going to do. So I think I skipped one. Yep. This level is characterized by the child's ability to participate in back and forth communication, particularly with gestures, to convey intentions, interests, and needs. So at this level, the child is beginning to understand some routines. Every morning we put our shoes on, put our backpack on, and go to school. We will hopefully start to see the beginnings of first words here. And then we want to see them opening and closing 6 to 10 of those circles of communication. Again, our interactions are getting a little bit longer. We're stretching them out. And this one, the last one was the sweat level. This one is the weight level. This is where I'm going to start to still be modeling language, but I'm going to slow down. I'm going to provide more intentional wait time to give them time to process the language, to respond. And I'm going to slow down and see if they'll start to initiate as well independently. So at this level, we're asking ourselves, am I slowing down? Am I waiting long enough? Am I giving them time to process what I just said, formulate a response, and give it? Are we getting 6 to 10 circles of communication? Are you thinking about those circles, trying to go for longer? Play dumb. Oh, what do you want me to do when they hand you a toy they can't open? Pretend you can't open it. Oh, I can't get it. It's too hard. Can you help me? Instead of just they hand it to you, open it, one circle, they hand it to you. Oh, I can't do it. They push it towards you again. Oh, I can't do it. Can you help me? They do it. We just got like 6 circles in an interaction that before might have been 1. Who's opening the first circle? This is where we're going to start to allow the child to do some initiating. Am I using theme and variation to be inventive with my play? These are some techniques We'll probably talk about at some point. Theme and variation is a great technique where, again, we're often following the child's lead. They're coming up with the activities. So then I'm going to take their theme, their initial idea, their play, and I'm just going to start to vary it a little bit. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to add another step. I'm going to have them turn left instead of right this time in our obstacle course. I'm going to count to 3 before I crash them this time. And it's just increasing their flexibility of thought, introducing some novel concepts that are still fun, and working on breaking down some rigidity that we can often see. Am I connecting words to routines and fun events? Again, we're not expecting them to use those words yet, but I'm still gonna say them. When I sit down for dinner, I'm gonna say dinner time. When we're in the bathroom, I'm gonna say scrub-a-dub, scrub the hair, scrub the back, scrub those toes. We're gonna give language to everything that we're doing. Am I seeing any imitation yet? They might start to imitate some of those gestures, some of those facial expressions, even some words or sounds. And are they starting to use any of those gestures yet? Signing more, waving by when you go, pointing to things. And last thing we're going to ask ourselves, everybody say it with me. Are we having fun? Everyone should still be having a good time. So here is a level 3 kiddo. You're going to see he's not using words just yet, but he has some really intentional gestures. He knows what he wants from his mom, and he is gesturing, reaching, and grabbing to get it.
Who wants to do cherry mine? Tickles. Where's cherry mine? He's searching for cherry mine. Did you see Mr. Tickles? You see Mr. Tickles? What's the tickle? There are 2 Mr. Tickles. We have red Mr. Tickles, yellow Mr. Tickles. Coming down. Mr. Tickles 2, Mr. Tickles.
And that is a highly sensory motivated kid. He likes rough and tumble play. He likes to be tickled. He's a tactile seeker. And so those activities are super motivating. He's reaching, making choices between 2 things, waiting expectantly, initiating with mom by looking her in the face. All those great things and skills we want to see and build on. Okay. Moving on to FDL4. This is where we're going to start to see some social problem solving and mood regulation. This level is characterized by Chad's ability to use complex circles of communication. We're going to see gestures, actions, and finally, some words, hopefully, to help them solve problems and develop a sense of self. At this level, we're hoping to see them imitating motor movements within pretend play, pretending to feed a baby doll, throwing a ball back to their mom, following some single step directions. Go get your cup, put your shoes on. And then beginning to understand others' emotions, noticing when other people are sad, engaging with other people that are happy. And at this level, for our parents and caregivers, some of our goals are for you to be a really interactive partner with your child. They're learning to use a continuous flow of gestures and pursuing their interests and meeting their needs. So join them in that, acknowledge that, engage with that. Try to go for 20 to 30 circles of communication now. We're having some continuous flows of communication and conversations. Expand your conversations. This is where you can also start to ask some of those simple WH questions. What's that? Where is he? Who did you play with today? And we're increasing the interactive range of affects and emotions when problem solving. So it's not just I'm problem solving because there's a problem. I'm feeding the baby because they're sad and they're hungry, or I'm bandaging up a hurt knee because they're crying and hurt, or I'm chasing away a hungry monster because it's scary. We're starting to connect those emotions and feelings into our pretend play to encourage different emotional patterns and then organize them into integrated problem-solving interactions. So this is where you get to start some of that simple pretend play, and they get to play out real-world problems in these almost consequenceless play scenarios. You get to solve issues that might arise through pretend play without the consequences of messing it up in the real world. We all need that. And last thing, in FDL4, when we are in a session, are we having fun? Even this pretend play should be silly. It should be fun. It should be engaging. And we should all be having a good time. So here is my girl at FDL4. You're going to see her using some single words. You're going to see us integrating some emotion into our play, some problem solving, some single step directions, having a lot of fun. She's problem solving, shaking it. How do I get this cupcake out?
Whoa!
You okay, cupcake? Put her top. So we're integrating some of that emotion there. Checking, are you okay? She's problem solving. How do I get this out here? Do you see the look on her face, looking me right in the face, shifting her attention from a cool toy to me, to a person, and adding in that level of social interaction and looking expectantly and happy and wanting to share that play with another person. That's so awesome. All right, we're getting there. On to level 5. This is creating symbols and using words and ideas. This level 5 and 6 are the really kind of high levels. I consider them. This is where it gets a little bit abstract. We're creating symbols, observed in pretend play. We're using more words. We're expanding into phrases and sentences, and we're adding a lot of emotional intention into our play as well. So at this level, we want to see kids consistently greeting some familiar people, displaying simple negotiation skills. You say, no dessert till after dinner, and they're like, well, what if I have a little dessert now and then dinner? They're starting to play you understand negotiation a little bit. They have strong receptive language skills, so they're understanding the meaning of simple, full sentences and answering some WH questions. And the child is starting to recognize and express their own emotions. Hopefully we're seeing more language instead of actions, like, you know, lashing out or meltdowns. We want to provide them the language to express and talk through those. So at this level, we want to encourage you to relate sensations, gestures, and behaviors of the world into pretend play, playing through scenarios that might happen at school, playing through things that might happen at the playground, having little dolls play out family scenarios. Elaborate on pretend play with expanding themes and ranges of emotions. Encourage words instead of acting out to convey their intent and feelings. Asking for help, saying, I'm so mad, I'm so sad, I need this, I want this. And watch for thematic pretend play. Can they stick to a singular theme or storyline for a long time? Can they stay on a farm and act out taking care of an upset baby and stay with one theme for a longer period of time? And lastly, we have to be having fun. Even as we're getting into emotions, even as they're talking more with us, we're still playing and engaging and working on that relationship. So here is one of my level 5 kiddos, and you're going to see her. We're doing like some picture cards, and she's going to take that and turn it into a game and make that connection to a scenario with a fire truck.
Fire truck. Truck. Uh-oh. There's a fire on Canada. Get the fire truck.
Imitating motor actions.
Fire truck.
Words.
Whoa! Oh.
A little hard to understand still, but and she's playing out these scenarios. She's going with my varied theme on the cards. She's rolling with it. She's shifting back to me to initiate with me and playing out these pretend scenarios. And on to level 6. This is the last one, we target and play project. This is emotional thinking, logic, and a sense of reality. So this level is characterized by the child's ability to build logical bridges and make connections between some different emotional ideas, reflection, and ability to understand another person's perspective. Some theory of mind is starting to emerge during this level. So we want them to build bridges or connections between ideas. Oh, look, it's raining outside. And they say, oh, we need an umbrella. Recognizing the relationship between a feeling, a behavior, and the consequence of those, and creating pretend dramas with 2 or more ideas, not sticking with one thing, but varying their thoughts. The trucks crash, then they go pick up rocks. The dolls have a tea party, then they go for a walk, a kind of natural flow of play. And for parents and caregivers, we want to challenge your child to connect their ideas, seek their opinion, enjoy their debates, negotiate for things they want, use logical reasoning. Encourage your child to engage in pretend play with peers, adults, where the story and drama makes a little more sense, the more logical play. And then challenge your child to create connections between differentiated feeling states. I feel happy when you're proud of me. I feel sad when I don't get my way. Identifying relationships between feelings, thoughts, and actions. We're building that kind of bridge here into the sense of reality where play meets the real world. And one last video. This kid definitely displays some logic and tells us what is what in her play.
No. That's a circle. Thank you. Oh, mommy. Oh, mommy. Well, you
Those negotiation skills, when things don't go her way, not going frustrated, not going into meltdowns, using her words to explain what we did wrong, how to fix the problem, remaining regulated throughout. Just some awesome skills. I just kind of wanted to touch on how language, since I am a speech pathologist and language and speech is kind of my jam on top of play, develops in the same kind of developmental way. The same way we want to see these social skills developing from the bottom up, we want to see language skills developing from the bottom up. So a lot of parents will come in and say like, all right, here's my kid. I want them to talk. Let's work on sentences. And I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. We got to go back 10 steps. This child needs to be able to share attention with us first. They need to engage with us. They need to have receptive language. Can they understand what I'm saying to them? Can they use gestures? And then after all that, we'll see some single words and then sentences and then conversation. So I really want to just emphasize that developmental lens of building on skills from the bottom up and making sure the kiddos' foundations are really solid, because we have those solid foundations and we build skills up from there. They become really well-rounded. They're able to self-regulate and they have all these skills to build on. So just in time, I'll leave us like 15 minutes, a little more for questions. If you saw anything in particular that related to your child that you want to specifically ask about, or anything you want me to further clarify. Oh no, that's next time. Not that yet. I don't know. I can't see the chat. So I might have.
No, you haven't missed anything. Somebody said everybody loves you. And Lizzie said, love that connection over compliance.
Thanks, Lizzie. You can get the shirt on Etsy.
She loves that. So that was the comments we have so far. So yeah, good.
Yeah, so if anyone has questions about if you saw anything that related to your child, or you want to ask specifically, let me just say also, like, I know we talked about the levels kind of being lateral, like they have this one, then this one, then this one. That's not always necessarily true either. We obviously have kids with all different skill sets. I have kids who come in who process language differently, who are coming in saying full scripts of TV shows, and they obviously have those 50+ words and sentences, but they have holes in some of the earlier levels. So just because a child hasn't mastered an earlier level doesn't mean they might not have skills at higher up levels. I have kids who come in with level 5, 6 skills, but we still go back and work on level 1 stuff to make sure that they're regulated and that we still build up that connection and relationship early on to provide a better foundation to those later skills. If anyone wants to pop anything in the chat or unmute or just say hi or share anything fun about the kids you're here to hopefully learn about for and help.
I don't really have a question, just an observation. I did enjoy the technique with the to me they looked like bowling pins. I don't know, the yellow and the red.
Yeah, they were.
I think about myself and how the child wanted the red one and she put it behind her back, and I loved how she in thinking about my history, I could have easily seen like my child kind of be almost like in conflict a little bit. I'm like, no, you can't have it. But what she did, but playing it with like making it a tickle game and stuff, I thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
It's not really a question, but I like that you
Great
incorporate,
observation.
you really do the play, as part of it, and that child didn't get upset.
Yeah, we try to jump full into the play, make everything playful. And that's actually a technique that Mom and I had been working on, one of the techniques in Play Project called playful obstruction, where we're not withholding something from the child, but we're getting it a negotiation, a game. They kind of have to work a little harder, ask a little more, because that child was there, and we were able to stretch out those interactions and make him work a little harder for it because he was regulated and feeling good and had that relationship with Mom.
Right.
And letting him use those skills to ask for things, which they're going to have to do in life. And again, with like, you see bowling pins, you wouldn't typically think tickle game. You think bowling pins, they're going to set them up and bowl them down. This is another thing. I have a lot of parents come in and say, well, they're not playing with toys the right way. I give her blocks and she's not stacking them up. She's dumping them out. So she's not playing with it the right way. And I'm like, who said that's not the right way to play with blocks? It's all about meeting the child where they're at. If that's what they need sensory, if they're seeking out that visual of dumping or crashing, and that's what feels good to them, that's the way we play with those blocks. If that's what's fun, that's play.
Mm.
And so trying not to look at it the lens of you're not playing the right way. You're not playing the way you're supposed to play, and looking at whatever's fun to you is play. That is play. And let me join you there and narrate and give you language for that, and find other behaviors. If you're dumping blocks because it feels really good to your visual sensory system, let me find another activity that you might really like. Let's blow bubbles. That's really visually stimulating. Let's do bright colors and paints and other sensory activities that meet that same need that you're meeting by dumping things.
Interesting.
It's a lot of throwing our own ideas kind of out the window and just looking at the kid for who they are, for what they're doing, and meeting them there and trying to give them the language to express themselves and what they like and what feels good to them, and not judging that for what we want it to be, but for what it is. Connection. We're going for connection and fun every day, all the time. Yeah, Allison?
Oh, I know, you knew I was going to say something, Kayleen, right? I couldn't help
Always.
because this is one of my favorite topics in life. So I just wanted to, it's just kind of a conversation about that connection and how valuable that is throughout the lifespan. So for those of you who don't know me, I do have an adult son with autism. He's 27, and my entire parenting from when he was really little was the foundation was play and engagement, because that was, I'm a recreation therapist by trade, and that's what I love. And so that was how I parented him. And so what I want to share is that continues throughout the lifespan, that you develop this relationship with your child through the play, that even as they grow older and they maybe continue to be challenged within their spectrum disorder, you still have created something so beautiful that will change over time. So our play at this age looks more like, and I'll give you the example of a whiteboard, colored markers, and we write red and we name things that are red. And we write blue and we name things that are blue. And that's how we have that intimacy. That's how we have that connection now. And that routine is established within us and when we see each other. So I love having that foundation to have, that was created with lots of the things that you showed on the videos, Kayleen, and all those play activities that we did. But as he grew older, those kind of, he outgrew them because he's older, but he still needs that kind of continuation. And so it changed into that. So I just want to just share that with all of you, that the benefits are lifelong with you and your child, and how you can create those throughout your life. So that's my little spiel. So
100%. It's always evolving. Every kid went from, the difference between a 18-month-old and a 5-year-old to a 27-year-old, just meeting them where they're at and giving them what they need and finding that way to connect.
Yeah. And it's fun. That's the thing. It's fun trying to find that next thing and think about it. And it's fun to when you find it and it works, it's like, oh, this is great,
And to see them be like, oh my gosh, finally, someone's not telling me what to do. Someone's not saying, clap your hands, spin around and jump and follow 3-step directions, check, follow, tell me, answer WH question, check. I don't carry around a check mark in my sessions. It's much more qualitative. It's much more, we look every 3 months at a progress report. I don't walk around with a clipboard and are they meeting my goals and are they meeting their things? Obviously we want them to meet these things and check these things off, but we want it to happen in a much more natural, functional way that's going to carry over to multiple different places. And that's why, I don't know if I mentioned, we have caregivers, and you saw in the videos, stay in our sessions. We want to teach you, like, yes, I'm the therapist and I'm providing the therapy, but when caregivers stay in my session, I'm coaching them, saying, all right, now I just played with him, watch me play with him. Great, you saw what I did, you hop in, you do it now and play with them. And I'm going to coach, I loved how you did that, I love how you're at his level. Hey, maybe you missed it, he was looking over there, did you see that? Next time, try to follow that. We're going to give that coaching and that feedback so that you can then, instead of 2 hours a week of therapy with me, he's going to get 40 hours a week of therapy by playing with you at home. And it ends up being, very cost effective if we're looking at it from a practical standpoint, but it ends up being fun. And you end up being the one developing the relationship with your child. Hold on, I'll give him my little soapbox, but
I love it all. I love it all. So true. Puts the power back into our hands.
Yeah.
We treat that. We have those skills that are lifelong. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I saw Diane has to go, but thank you for coming. If you have any questions, again, this is going to be on YouTube, and I put my email address right at the beginning. So if anyone wasn't brave enough to ask questions here, but you want to shoot me an email with a specific question, or I put the Instagram, if you're all tech savvy and want to shoot me an Instagram message, I check that too. Anyone else? Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciated the video showing how, even though you were working with a child who was using a communication device on the tablet, that play and the communication device really go hand in hand, and it's not one thing without the other. I think that was a really nice example of how to mesh it all together, which
Heck
can seem
yeah,
overwhelming
see.
sometimes, I think.
Yeah, bring that SLP scope into it. It's the same. I mean, I work with a lot of kids with AAC now, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, we have this device, so we have to sit at the table and press the button. I give you your cookie, you press the button, you get this, but it's the same as words, right? That's their words. So we're gonna model it the same way I'd model spoken language to a child that's learning to use verbal language. So we love AAC. We love to give our kids the best opportunities and let them talk in whatever way makes sense to them. And it's going to be effective, and let them not only, obviously we always talk about, we want our kids to get their wants and needs met. Oh, let me know when you're hungry or hurt. But I also want them to say, like, that was awesome after we crashed them onto a giant crash pad. I want them to be able to express, I don't like that, no thank you, or I want to do it again, this is so fun. Just having all these various types of communication. And that's why we do the bottom-up approach. We want them to have varied communication. If my kid can just request, yeah, they'll always have their needs met, but I want them to be able to share emotional experiences and thoughts and ideas and no's and yeses and all those types of things.
You're very inspiring, Kayleen. You really are. And you do make it, I mean, it's a little work. You make it seem like it's not, but it's play, and I know it's play, but moms out there, it's a tiny bit of work, right? Because you are investing all of yourself within this interaction, and I love it so much, but still, right? It's a little tiny bit of work.
It's a lot of work. It sounds fun. We're having fun. Of course it's fun because we love these kids and we love to see them grow. But yeah, if you're not pouring your whole heart and soul into it and really invested in making it work, and there's no, oh, sorry, I have to check my phone, because we're in it together. When I'm with my kid, we are in it, and we're not distracted by anything. We're in the world together.
Definitely. Somebody has a question. Can you share more about the play project?
Yeah, totally. It is a developmental therapy approach created by Dr. Richard Solomon, who's a medical doctor based out of Michigan. It is derived from Stanley Greenspan's work on functional emotional developmental levels and DIR floor time approach, if you've ever heard of that. It technically, the evidence base is that it is an in-home intensive caregiver training program. So the way it was originally invented was that a therapist, and to be trained in it, you have to have a master's in either speech language pathology, occupational therapy, physical therapy, social work, some sort of health service field, and then you can get trained. It's about 1.5 to 2 years of training, depending on how fast you can whiz through the courses and your video submissions. And you learn all these functional developmental levels. We will also learn how to profile the child. We base the functional developmental levels. We'll also learn how to do a sensory motor profile later in the summer, and we'll learn about how to understand children's comfort zones and how to join them when they're in their comfort zone activities. And it teaches you just to meet the child where they're at. It's administered by a professional, but it is a caregiver training approach. So you're encouraged to come to every session to receive training, coaching, feedback. We do video reviews. So that's why I have all these videos. We video me playing with the child, we video the parent playing with the child and receiving coaching. And then you get a form of like a review of how the video went, techniques that were used, activities that are suggested, sensory modalities to incorporate. Lissy might have a little bit to add because she's currently doing the Play Project Consultant course right now. So it's really fresh in her mind. But it's just a really cool approach about learning to have fun and kind of being more affirming of our clients and understanding where they are and accepting that and teaching parents to accept that as well. So that's the approach. You can look it up. We have a website. If you just Google Play Project, the Play Project website will come up, and there are little video courses you can watch, and the research papers and the evidence papers, if you feel like digging into it, are on there to read. But it's just a really cool approach. And obviously, as a speech language pathologist, I focus a lot on the language side of it. So we're working on those social skills, but we're also working on developing language, incorporating AAC device, gestures, single words, sounds, the kids who do use scripted language or gestalts and honoring those and breaking those down into functional communication as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I hope that gave like a brief overview of what Play Project is. It's a lifestyle.
I love that. It is lifestyle. That's pretty good. All right.
Yeah, playproject.org. That's the one.
Thanks. We're putting that in the chat, Lindsay. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all so much. We will be seeing you all again, hopefully, on Tuesday, July 25th, same time. And thanks. Same time, same place. Thank you all for coming. And I thank you again, Kayleen, for your wonderful expertise and really inspiring all of us. And this is just wonderful information to have, and I look forward to our next meeting this summer. So thank you all so very, very much. A lot of thank yous in the chat for you, Kayleen.
Thank you guys for coming and for learning and being open to something new and exciting. Hope to share more about it.
Very good. All